Hello everybody, welcome back to another Writing Done Right live stream, and today we are going to have a little bit of fun looking at doing kind of the final wraparound book cover design that we need to do when we are pushing out a book cover. And so of course this is for the Synaptergy book, so the Synaptergy website is always being up to date. If you are on the mailing list, you will have received a coupon code in your inbox today. So if you are on that mailing list and have not seen it, double check your junk folder there. We do actually have a preview of the first part of the first chapter of the audiobook up here. You can read the whole first chapter of the book on the website now, so you can actually head on over there. And as soon as these start rolling out, then you can go ahead and I'll go ahead and have the places, all the places I know of where you can buy the book. Also, if you want to pre-order the book yourself, store.worldwarepress is where I have the book at. So head on over to store.worldwarepress.com and you can come on down here and you can pre-order the book. I'm selling it at $10.99 on my own personal bookstore, and the retail is $12.99. Although I may launch it, with a slightly cheaper price to start. All right, so of course you'd guess from this picture here that I already have the cover designs done. Well, come on, man. I know how to cheat a little bit here and there. This is not the final cover, but this is for my 3D rendering system. I'm using Blender to give myself nice 3D images of the book, which I'd like to redo these with a little bit dimmer light there. There's too much shadow and reflection on the books. But hey, I was waiting until I had the final cover to do any of those anyway. So what we're going to look at here is the various steps and the components that you need. So I do have a folder over here. I actually have this is not the absolute final edit. I'm still working on the audiobook on the last couple chapters here. But I do have I have the formatted manuscript pretty much done. That's this one here. So this is what the manuscript is going to look like. Let me go down and zoom it down to a 100% size. And you can kind of see what it's going to look like there when it's edited. So I went with these. We have a nice little dot here in between the author and the book name and the page numbers up at the top. And I did also, wrong button, my apologies for that. You always do want to do a quick test printout. So this is actually a printout at 100% size, no stretching, overlaid. And you always just want to have a look at it, just make sure it looks good before you're doing much else with it. Just kind of give it a good little look there. So that's what we've actually did with that. So with this guy done, what I needed is I need the book mostly done so I can get the page count. I still need to drop in the about the author part, which actually I have that in the summary. So hey, why don't I just go ahead and copy that guy over here anyway. We'll go ahead and format and fix this up later. This says default style. Of course, I don't want default style. I'd like to just use my text body for that. And I think I'll probably, let's see what I'm using for navigation type stuff. I'll probably just go ahead and use, let's go with the heading 2 for the about the author. I need to drop in the acknowledgments as well in the proper location. But this gives me a basic idea. You always want to round your page up to the nearest even page because, hey, a page is two-sided. You need 2 pages in there. So I have 263 pages. So I'm going to count this by 264. You're going to need your ISBN number for your softcover book, and you want to know what your price is. So I talked a little bit about on previous streams about the pricing and things like that. So that's what we have as far as our materials. The other thing that you're going to want, I do need my logo for my publishing company. I just need the globe part. I don't need the title part, but hey, that's what I had handy, so we'll grab that. I have my ebook, which I don't need right now. This is actually the file that I use for making the 3D rendering, which this is basically just thrown together really quick, but we're going to pretty much duplicate basically that, only without this block over here. These are things that are needed for Blender to do the wraparound cover. We're not going to be looking at that today. I also have just a file for the generic back cover, and I made sure that I also had the completed front cover of the book. Of course, you remember you're always doing your front cover much earlier so that you have this for your early promotional stuff. You're going to need it for your ebook and things like that. So we're basically going to start by doing a piecemeal of the front cover that we have. Since I like this design on the back cover and I already took the time doing it, we're going to use this design for the back cover minus the text portion. And we're going to show you how to get the bindings, all your spacing, and things like that. Now, what I did is I took my ISBN, my pricing, my book dimensions. This is going to be released as a 8x5 book. And I went on to Ingram Spark and I created a book cover template, which is over here. So I had the book cover template sent out. So remember, you need your page count to know how thick to make your spine. So this guy here is going to work. Now, when I'm coming in and doing my final designs here, I'm actually going to cut out the white parts here simply because Amazon will not know to trim out the white parts, but Ingram will. And so Ingram will work fine with or without the white section around it. I want to do that, of course, so I can get the barcode. The barcode is very important. Highest quality, best barcode I can get is directly from doing that. All right, so what we are going to do is, using all of these different pieces, we're going to start in with a file here on GIMP. And let's just go ahead and close these guys that I don't need for now. And what we're going to do is I can actually probably just start with our PDF, dropping our PDF in. Now remember, you want highest resolution. So a 300 resolution is what you're going to want. So drop this guy in at 300 resolution. Let it do whatever it wants to do with the pixels. So you'll notice that despite this is a book that's going to be 8 inches by 5 inches, you'll notice that the height is actually listed at 12, not 8. And at 15, not 5. Of course, the difference is because for the height, we have the extra part on the white gaps, and on the width, of course, we're doing twice the binding and then our bleed. So we're going to go ahead and start with our import. And so this is going to be what we need to do. So let's go ahead and start with saving the copy of your file. So we're going to save this, and we're actually going to save this guy as... Let's go ahead and save it as the working cover. Okay, so the next thing I want guides. So if you remember from the previous video that we did here, you remember that the pink is the safe region, the blue is your bleed region. So you want your cover design to go through the blue, but nothing critical should be beyond a pink border. Okay, we have a book binding here, the light blues. And so what I want to do here is I want to do some guides. So we're just going to start with our move tool in place, and it will auto select the move tool if we need to. But what we're going to do is I want to have a guide on the outer edge of the blue, which I'm going to use the lighter part of the blue, and on the inners. So I kind of want multiple guides here. Those are going to help me with the spacing down the road, and it's going to save me a lot of time later on. So you can see we're just going to put guides across each of these marks here. That's going to snap stuff to the individual grids that we need. All right, I do want guides here. Now, I don't necessarily need a guide out to the page. What I want is I want a guide right into the middle of this dark blue line here. This is actually your binding where your book binding should be. So you are going to have a little bit of interplay, and you will find oftentimes a book can print pretty close to the pink line on that. So whoa, undo. Don't want to move the pink spot there. That would be bad. All right. Do that, and then we'll do one more here. Okay, so now we can see that we have guides all over the top and the bottom. that is going to work out for having different guides. All right, next thing I want is I want a copy of this barcode that is independent. So I'm going to really zoom in here and just grab the white part. I don't want anything that's pink. So remember, you're using your control keys and shift keys to navigate around when you're zoomed in or zoomed out. So just get used to those and it'll kind of become second nature to you. So you'll notice that there's some lighter pink regions there. I don't want any of that. So we're exclusively on all the white portions. And I actually have here some hotkeys. I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste it as a new layer. That may not have actually pasted it. Let's go ahead and have a look. That did not. All right, so let's undo that new layer paste there. Let's go ahead and make sure we copy visible just within the selection. And I'm going to paste that as a new layer. There it is. It's up there at the top. It might have been there. I was looking for it in the region rather than where it was. All right. So now what we're going to do, let's deselect and let's go ahead and just make sure that this layer is auto-cropped just to the size. I don't need this to be the whole layer size. All right. So this guy here is the barcode. So we're going to go ahead and label that as our barcode. All right. Now, the next thing we want to do is we already have our full working cover up here. So we're just going to drag this guy on, and what you're going to notice is it's right about the size that we need. So what we're going to do here is let's go ahead and let's go ahead and layer, auto crop down the layer just to make sure. And then we're going to drop its opacity down. We're going to do this just so that we can make sure our alignment is perfectly centered. So you'll notice here, if you go right up to the blue, you're going to have some spots where it's not going to work quite right, okay? You want to make sure that you have a little bit of overlap into your various blue regions. So down here, you can see that we don't have any overlap here. We have just a little bit over here. You can see that our guides here and here, we have enough space. So I'm actually going to want to increase the size of my layer. I've set a hotkey on my GIMP because I do this a lot to do Shift Control Alt-L to give me an adjustment on my layer. So let's just adjust. Let's just give myself another 50 pixels. If I scale it up too much, it will introduce some grain. I definitely don't want to do that. All right, so let's see if 50 pixels was decent. That's actually a little bit too much. So let's undo that. And let's just scale it up another 25 pixels. Let's see how that looks. We want it to go just enough to go about halfway into the blue on at least the top and the bottom regions. So we can go a little bit up, and you'll notice that the name there is getting really close to the blue. I don't want that too close to the blue, so I'm going to cause it to go up just a little bit more. Let's go ahead and throw the guide over the... I should actually throw the guide over the blue part there on that side. Let's do the same over here. So that's getting too close to the blue. So it almost looks as though what I might want to do is drop the size down. Let's see. I might actually need to open up the file and drop my name down a little bit, because to give myself the bleed that I need, we're getting too close in, and you don't want to do that because you don't want to trim off your author side on one name or wrap it around the text on the other. So actually, this is actually on a different user account. So let's go ahead and drop onto that user account. And I think, wait, hold on. It might not be on the same user account. Let's have a look. I don't remember where I was working on this, this one at. Here we are. This is where we're at. Okay, so we're going to work with this, and the issue that we're having is our text down here. Gotta find where my text is. Right here it is. All right, so let's go ahead and we're going to drop the scale of this text a little bit. All right, so right now it's at a 1400, so let's go with a 1350. We're going to drop it down about 75 pixels, and that should keep it centered all the same. I think our top title's probably fine. Let's go ahead and drop that down a little bit more. Let's go 1325. Okay, so we're going to go all. We're going to select. Going to edit. We're going to copy visible. Let's hide this one. We're going to paste this as a new layer. We're going to see if this works better for us. So we just wanted to make sure that author title was small enough so that it did not encroach in like it was. All right. Let's go and scale this back up. Let's try that 1550 again. See how that looks. Author's good. Now our title is a little bit too close. So let's go back over here and we'll drop down our title here. And we're going to want to merge down. So we're merging down so that the whole title, including the drop shadows that are on here, are all a single layer, which now they are. Okay. So now we're going to drop this scale down. Let's go down to 12. Let's go 1225. That's a little too much. Let's do 1325. All right, so we'll select everything again, edit, copy visible, this one, we're going to delete that layer, and paste this guy as a new layer and see how this looks here. All right. That's looking a little bit better. So now we can pull things over. We don't want the cover passing the fold bend. We do want it just a little bit into the bleed, but not into the fold bend. We want about halfway through the bleed on the top and the bottom if we can. Looks like we can actually go a little bit higher. Let's go ahead and try this. Okay, so that actually aligned us pretty much perfectly there. Now that we can kind of see that that's a little misaligned there, so let's go ahead and just move it over this way, and then we're going to crop off what we don't want from the one end. Let's go ahead and put the bleed. Let's do about that's about centered. Okay, so we have about enough bleed on this end here. All right, now what we want to do, so let's go ahead and drop this one out so we don't need this layer. Okay, we're going to call this front cover. All right, so now we want to add the back cover. So let's go ahead and open up the back cover design. And I don't want this. So you can kind of see what we're doing here is we have just, that's at 14.9. So we have this just scaled down to a 14.9% here. Like this. All right, so we're going to all, and we're going to edit. We are going to copy visible. Back to here, paste it here, and of course this we are going to rename to back cover. Scale up our size. Okay. All right, so now what we're going to do is I want to crop off everything up until the fold point. So the fold point I want to be pretty much solid black. We are going to get a little bit of fold on each end, one way and the other, but we're going to go ahead and do this. Pull this down to this fold length here. And with our back selected, we're going to delete this side. With our front selected, we're going to delete this side. All right, so now what we're going to do is we want to have some nice black. So I'm going to, just for the black binding there. So let's deselect. We're going to add a new layer. And we're going to put this one as the foreground color, so it's black. And it's going to be the size of the whole image. All right, now we're going to drop this guy down to here. And then now what we're actually going to do is I want to, I'm actually going to hide it just for now. So we're going to do our title and our author and stuff around the center, and then we're going to turn that back on and see what it looks like. So trust me, I know where we're going with this guy. I know, famous last words, right? We need to move the barcode up above our back cover there. All right, so now we're going to put in the title. We're going to put in the author. We're going to use the BioRhyme text, which is what we're using there. I think we're using BioRhyme for everything. Yes, we are using BioRhyme for everything. All right, we're going to discard these so I don't accidentally save any changes. I don't want to save those for now. All right, so now we're left just here, and let's go ahead and save this guy here just as a good saving point. All right, so now what we're going to do is grab our text tool, and we're going to type in the title. All right, and we're going to select, we want this to be white text. And we want it to be the BioRhyme that we are using. So let's use BioRhyme. Let's try what BioRhyme bold looks like. And we do want it capitalized. Okay. All right, so there's BioRhyme. There's our size there. Now, what you'll notice is it's a little bit cramped there, so we're going to just add a little bit of letter spacing, just space out a little bit, make it look a little bit nicer there. All right, and we're going to kind of eyeball the size of this to the binding. What you kind of want this to do is you want it to be not flush against the pink, but you want it to be balanced within the pink and almost taking up most of the pink. That's kind of what we're going to be doing here. So let's go ahead and I think that's actually going to be pretty good. So we will come up to Layer, and we are going to transform, and we're going to flip 90 degrees. Remember, the direction of it is that if the cover is sitting up, then the title is outright. So you do want it in this orientation, not in the opposite orientation. All right, so we have our move tool, and what I might do is I might align it with the top of this text here. So let's go ahead and put a guiding alignment there so I can guide it up. And then let's just have a look at how this is going to be. All right. So that seems pretty good there. And then now let's put in my author name. I'm trying to think if that's a little bit too spaced out for text, but I think it's probably good. Now, let's actually, what we're going to do, let's go ahead and drop the spacing down a little bit. Let's go about half what we had there. That's good there. Oop, not that layer. That layer there. You can set it to use the layer you're working with over here. I can move the active layer or pick the layer. Photoshop defaults to move the active layer. GIMP defaults to moving the layer you pick or select. Okay, so that's pretty good there. Let's see, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, just shy of 6. Using the ruler at the top of the screen. 1, 2, 3, 4, only 5. So maybe we should go a little bit that way. Okay, good. All right. Now we're going to do another text layer with the name. So we're going to do if I can spell my name right. Now the name I might do a little bit darker. In fact, let's go with let's go with just a little bit darker. We're still going to use BioRhyme Bold. And it looks like I did not put a space in my name there. Ooh, I did I'm not allowing that to the top right there. All right, so let's okay. I did not align that correctly. There we go. All right. So let's drop the font down just a little bit smaller. All right. And we're going to do tools, and we're going to layer, transform, rotate it as well. Looks like that's going to bleed up into my title up there. So we need to go a little bit smaller with this. We might actually have to decrease the size of the Synaptergy as well. Let's do that. Make sure it's still about centered. That's good. And then we're going to pull this up. All right. Now, what I want to do with this is I don't want to align it to the bottom because I'm going to want the publisher logo there. So we are going to want to come up here, though, just a little bit above our name there. So now we'll grab our name. Let's go ahead and do our transform, rotate, and let's see if this works or not. Okay, so now we actually have that aligned with the height that I want. Now to align it up here, I'm just going to select my 2 layers using our selection tool. And just align them centered. Just center them out. All right. So now turn this guy back on. You'll kind of see what that looks like there. And let me select something else. You can kind of see what that looks like. So that's actually a pretty good binding there. All right, so now we got in this little square down here, we're actually going to put our publisher logo there. So let's drop the black layer off again. So now let's go ahead and I'm going to open up this guy here, and I only want this part for now. All right, we're going to copy this, paste it in here. And let's go ahead and auto crop the layer, and then we're going to drop it down in size. So We have 0.59 inches is what that's telling us there. So let's go with 0.85. That, oh, duh, 0.585. Like, whoa, what? 0.585, that's what I wanted. That'll be close. We'll probably want to drop it down a little bit more as well. So that got all the way to the side. Remember, we want to contain it within the pink. So I'm just going to go ahead and use this tool here to do that. Just holding my shift key to make sure that I'm aligning everything. Grab the top, grab the bottom, make sure it stays within the pink region. And then let's just, for extra measure, let's go just slightly smaller. We definitely don't want your logo to be bleeding over into the other page there. So that's pretty good. Let's do just a hair more. Okay, and call that pub logo. All right, so now let's turn this layer back on so you can kind of see what we're looking at. So it looks pretty good. Actually, the publisher, that's huge. The publisher logo is huge. That looks bad. That's a little better. Okay, so this guy here is our Shift Align tool. Whoa, wrong button. That should have aligned with that. There we are. All right, so there we are. So that's looking pretty good. All right, that looks good. All right, let's see. Let's give ourselves a little bit more room around the barcode. So we're going to move on and do some of the back cover stuff right now. So let's go with barcode, and we are going to let's see if I can do layer boundary size. Let's give ourselves extra 1/10 of an inch on either side, maybe. So let's go. All right. So there's a little bit more room around the ISBN, which is much nicer now. So let's go ahead and do that and slide this up here just a little bit more there. Okay. So now what we're going to do here is let's go ahead and add in some basic pricing information. I'm going to have some basic other books here and see how they're doing pricing stuff. Well, that one's got somebody else's sticker over the ISBN. So it does look like the standard for this style of book is to actually put your price directly inside the barcode. So we could do that. I'm actually going to do something a little bit different. Let's go ahead and put the price on the side going up. So the price, remember, is $12.99. And let's go ahead and do this in our bio rhyme if we can. We ended up with one of those. We accidentally put it in there as a box that you scale the size. Oops. There we go. All right, so I want this about the size of the height here, and then we're going to turn it around on its side. So that's pretty good. Let's see how that looks. Transform the layer. This one we're going to rotate counterclockwise. Right down there. Okay, and right above this, we'll do our science fiction dystopia. Putting just a little bit of an information telling people what type of book it is right there above the barcode. Yeah, it's the A's bleeding a little bit beyond the barcode, so let's go ahead and drop that down a pixel. We'd rather it a little bit below than a little bit above. We can also respace our numbers like this if we need to. That's good there. Now we'll go ahead and center, grab our barcode, grab this guy, and we'll center it. There we are. All right. Now let's go ahead and grab another text box. We're going to put in the book summary. So I have a book summary right up here. Now, since BioRhyme is a generally capitalized, I think, font, we probably don't want to use BioRhyme for that, but we'll have a look at what it looks like. Now, this here, I'm actually going to use this, and I'm going to define the size of the box here. So we're going to start by defining the size of the box. I don't want it that close to that edge, so I'm going to keep this out a little bit more so that I can move the box over here when I'm done editing the text. Let's see what BioRhyme would happen to look like. And let's justify the text. Okay, so that's actually not bad. Okay, so I'm just trying to get it so the text comes as close to the edge as we can, and that's actually going to be pretty good. So let's grab our move tool, and we will now move our box over a little bit, just kind of center it there. So actually that does look really good. I wasn't sure BioRhyme would work good there, but it does actually look really good. Okay, so I can actually align the box. I was thinking that was the top bleed margin, which it's not. So we'll go and align the box up here so that aligns the text with the logo with this information here. So if I wanted it truly aligned, I'd put the top of the letters right there like that. All right, so there we are. Now we have that. Now let's go ahead and do, let's do an orangish line, and then we'll do an about the author down below that. Okay, so for the orange, let's go ahead. I think this is actually something that I pulled from this earlier. So let's go ahead and do that. And let's decide on 20 pixels is going to be way too much, but let's... let's do this. Let's go 5. And okay, there we go. And that's a bad color. Nah, let's use a different tool. I forgot which tool allows me to snap. One of them allows me to snap. I thought it was the paintbrush. It is that one, but it keeps on resetting my color on me. There we are. That's what I wanted. Of course, this divot right here is bad. Go ahead and get rid of that. And that. Okay, so now we have a nice line there, and now let's put the about the author. On a more professional book, you don't generally see the about the author on the back cover on a science fiction or a fictional novel, but on an indie press, you might. So I don't have any qualms about doing it here. If you have customer reviews and stuff, put those on the back instead. But since I did not solicit customer reviews, I'm just going to go with a bio, so especially being a first science fiction book. All right, let's grab our line. Okay, our line is now centered. And now we need our logo for our company here. So this guy here, I forgot what text this was, but what we're going to do here is let's go ahead and duplicate layer, color, invert, delete that. There, perfect. Let's go ahead and edit. And we're going to copy our visible and paste it in as a new layer and scale this guy down. Let's start with 500. And this is going to be right on over here. All right, let's go 400. Let's go 250. Okay, we're going to do a, if I can, which one? Hold on. So sometimes in GIMP you need to, if you're using the spacing tool, sometimes you'll need to make sure that your layers are aligned right. So there's that. And then I want about an equal space there, and we're pretty good. All right, so now let's turn on our final background. And that's about what we got. So that's actually a pretty good book. So now the black background all around gave us our bleed edges. If you remember down here where our bleed edges didn't quite go all the way out to the edge. So now we're going to have a black on the bleed edge to go all the way around out to the edge. Greetings, everybody that jumped on. Jessica, how's it going there? Naras, hello, how are you? All right, so a couple more tiny things I might want to do is let's go ahead and fade this into the black. These are kind of your little QA type things. So what we want to do is grab a gradient, and in your gradient tool, you want to go foreground to transparent, and just make sure your foreground is now black. And now what we're going to do is we're going to experiment with a few designs here. Okay, so that's the wrong way. So let's go this way. So there, now we've faded this guy into the background. And we're going to do the same on the back cover as well. So now if there's any fold over, any bleed over, which you will invariably get, you don't have a hard line going into it. You'll have a soft fade line going into it. That's kind of what we're going to look like there. So that's actually a pretty nice full-fledged cover. Now the next thing I'm going to do is let's go ahead and we're going to select, we are going to want to grab from the blue layer out. So let's just go ahead and move this line here. Come on, guide, move. Let me make sure I'm not accidentally moving anything there. Okay. Since I'd changed my guide, it was moving the layer I had selected. So I'm going to go down and just make sure that everything is at the very bottom instead of the top of the blue lines. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to crop out everything that's not necessary for the file so that, and then we're going to turn on our black background. So that way this file here then will be sufficient as well for Amazon as well as Ingram. I think this pixel is off though. Let's go ahead and get rid of that pixel. All right, now we're going to turn this on. Now we're going to grab this guy here and I want to go from the top to the outer edge down to all of the outer edges, snap those into place there. And now we're going to image. We are going to crop to selection. All right. Now we're going to save this guy. Now we have a nice full-fledged book cover, a full wraparound that this guy's going to go online. Let's view, turn off the display on the guides for now. Deselect. So now this is what the book design is going to look like. The only little concern I have right now is this is going out into a lot of the bleed. So you'll kind of see that. That might be something I want to fix. Otherwise, that could potentially give me some problems. So I'll show you how to fix that in a second here. Everything else, though, looks good. The back cover's going to the edge. So you do want these going all the way out to the edge of the bleeds. You can see our soft roll into the corners. So that's good. Nice soft roll into that, but if we were to actually display the guides, we shouldn't have any bleed over. This is the only part that's concerning me. All right, so what we're going to do here is let's go ahead and duplicate this layer. We're going to take the back layer, and we're going to turn on our move tool and move the active layer again, and we're just going to basically move the back layer out a little bit, just like that. So now if we check our front layer never moved. Our back layer did. So now if we go up and explore, we'll see a little of this up here at the top. We might want to work on that a little bit. Most of the stuff down at the bottom's not actually all that bad. So this is kind of fairly minor stuff. Remember that this is in the bleed region. So if I go on and show my guides, remember that this outer guide here is the bleed region. So anything from halfway in here almost always will never show up on the book. So the fact we have a little bit out like that, that honestly doesn't really bother me. If that did, I think one thing I could do is just kind of work on the background there and maybe I could massage it a little bit. The other thing I could do is I could get it to the point where it's a little bit closer. Let's hide this cover here. So now we're going to be working on the background one. The other thing that we could do is we could stretch it. So let's do this. And we're just going to stretch it just out to the edge there. Push scale. It's going to stretch it. Now we'll turn this one on. Now it looks a little bit nicer. Still not perfect, but that's actually okay because all that's going to get cut off in the bleed region anyway. All right. So there we have it. I think that's a good back book cover. So we'll run with that. All right, so let's see. Now Russ is doing great. Very good. All right, so now what do we want to do is let's go ahead and we're going to go ahead and save the file once again. And now we want to export the file. And we are going to export as. And we want to export it as a PDF. So let's do a export PDF. There might actually be an export as PDF option. Let's go ahead and double check that. Nope, I was thinking of a different program. So we're going to go PDF. Export. So we want to apply layer masks, convert bitmaps to vector graphics where we can, omit hidden layers with 0 opacity. Go ahead and hit the export button. And now inside of our, that's not it. Inside of over here, we should now have a PDF. So here is our working cover PDF. All right, nice alignments. We have a little bit of small coloration difference there between the title and the author name. There's our information, and that's pretty good. I'm liking it. Liking what we did. And how long did that take us? That took us just under an hour to do that. Of course, it did take a while to build the full front cover as well, but you always do that as a separate step anyway. So there is that. We have that. Just in case we need it, we'll export it as a JPEG as well, although we generally don't. Okay, so there we have it. Well, thanks for hanging out, everybody. We'll go ahead and call this one a wrap for now. Again, if you want to head on over to the Synaptergy website, synaptergy.com, you can listen to the audio sampling of this guy. You can read chapter 1, and if you want to, you can jump onto the newsletter list. The next newsletter is going to go out when I start seeing the books show up in the various online stores. So all the various other online stores. So that, guys, thanks for hanging out, and we will catch you guys next time. And just an FYI, if you didn't catch, we're going to cut our video schedule down to 2 a week from 3 a week for a little bit. As I work on a couple other big projects and getting the books and stuff all set up and ready to go. So thanks for hanging out, everybody.